So this is a video about really how I've had the last 4 years, I've been abstinent, basically not having sex in the last 4 years. And to me, it probably would have seemed impossible 4 years ago, but I kind of laugh at it. But at that time, I just finished up, I've been through about, a couple relationships. The longest was 6 months, and the shortest was maybe 2 or 3 months. And, I had been involved with different churches, different levels of leadership, pretty much in a group of different churches. And but the thing I was missing was that I was missing an actual true relationship with God, where it was like, God speaking to me, I'm speaking to him. And, that was missing really for my whole adult life. And then I really realized one day that, God was speaking to me. And that kind of changed a lot of things. But anyways, so yeah, it's been about 4 years. And at that time, 4 years ago, I was traveling internationally. I had traveled a bunch of times the last couple of years, 4 or 5 years ago internationally. And, COVID was happening and all that stuff. And that was the last relationship really that I was in during that time. And God really started basically shutting the door for me. He started shutting the door in relationships and, any kind of one night stands and stuff like that as well. And, it wasn't really, basically just closed the door. God was closing the door. And regarding possibilities and stuff like that. And I just was wondering, I always felt like, God, why is this so hard to get in a relationship? And the ones I did have, it just, I always felt like maybe I was, I wanted a relationship where there was just honesty and intimacy, really, in a relationship. So, but I started noticing that it seemed like God was shutting the door and everything. So, and then about 1.5 years ago, or actually it was probably last November, I was going to take an overseas trip. Before, I kind of knew COVID was coming, and this time I kind of felt like there was stuff coming on, with the election and all that stuff. So I decided to take a trip, and I was going to go to Colombia, and that's when God really stopped me. He kind of stopped me in my tracks, and then that's when I really started developing a relationship with God, because God really sent me to a church, and it was kind of like very unexpected, but I knew God was the one that was doing it. It was like, I was like, very clear to me that it was God, and I felt peace about it. But I wasn't able to go overseas. I wasn't able to go to Colombia. I was going to start an internet business and spend a couple weeks there and just kind of enjoy myself and meet people over there and all that stuff. But God shut the door on that one. And, so, and then I started going to church, and I knew God was going to do something. I just knew that God was going to, tell me something, reveal stuff during this time I was there. And I also felt the peace, God just totally, when God shut that thing down, when I wasn't able to go overseas, I just felt the peace about me, honestly. It was total peace. And despite the fact that it just completely disrupted my life. And so then I started going to a church for, I think it was about 6 months or so, something like that, 5 or 6 months. And I can, basically at that point is when, God tells you basically, many times God will do this for people, but he will tell the person who their spouse is. And that's what pretty much, I was at the situation where I was praying for different, and I just starting to get to really know God, and God was really just cleaning up things in my life, like sins that, that were kind of lingering in my life that I need to get rid of. And so really got cleaned up. I wasn't a big drinker, but I was still drinking beer, and God basically shut that down. And, lust and things like that, basically cleaned up my life. And so, and that's when he told me, basically God told me who my person was. And he also gave me he told me that basically I couldn't have premarital sex with her, you know. So this is going on like 4 years now. And, you know, since that time, I've had women come up to me, basically just say, I want to have sex with you right now. And I was like, well, I can't because I'm engaged, basically. So I didn't, which was actually a true statement. So I've had a couple women do that to me. And, you know, just, it's funny because when you're abstinent, then all these opportunities start popping up all around. And it's just very interesting how the devil works. But so I just want to share that, you know, if you're struggling out there, or if you're, to encourage people that you can actually do it. And what I started doing now was that, because I noticed that there's a temptation now is to lust. Now that you're not being immoral, there's no pornography in your life, you're not doing these different things at all, you know, that God has taken any of these little bits and pieces of things and removed them from my life, is that now I have to deal with lust, because it's the desire, you know, that it's that time, it's the time now where you feel like, okay, I just want to be with somebody, or I want to experience sex again, you know. And so I've memorized scripture, but a lot of times it's the promise. It's more of the promise that I'm like, okay, I don't want to do this because God's given me a great promise. Why would I wreck the promise and then potentially mess things up? That God has promised me a great marriage. He's promised me a great woman. And so that's a lot of the motivating factor for me too. But I think I just really, just being closer to God, the closer we're to God, and the more time I spend being close to God, praying to God, and it even takes away the, you know, that super strong urge to go out and to basically to have sex with somebody, or to, you know, just do things that are, you know, outside of my what my spirit really wants to do. So that's helped me a lot. So I've memorized scriptures, and really about promises, about God's promises, and I combat it with scriptures every time I get that real strong urge. Because, I mean, let's face it, having, you know, sex feels great, you know, but I know it's even better in a relationship that is a God-ordained relationship, you know, something that God has set up. So I just want to encourage everybody with this, and that you can do it if you're out there saying, you know, a lot of times you have to cut off the people of your life that are toxic, and then once you do that, then it's much easier, actually. It actually is easier to be abstinent, you know, until God puts the person in your life that is meant for you. And so I just wanted to share this to encourage everybody, and a little short video, or audio, I should say. But I hope you are encouraged, and we'll talk to you soon. Please subscribe and share if you can. Thank you.